Good afternoon, y'all. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Oh my god, it's so early, y'all. I feel weird live streaming this time of night. Or this time of night. This time of day. It's bright outside. It's all sunny. It's a cool autumn day. Whew. But yeah. So unfortunately, oh hey Allison, you made it! I was gonna say, for those of you who didn't make it, I'm sorry, but you'll see me, hopefully you'll catch me later. But yeah, I have to, if you missed it, I have to stream very early today because I have a work function to go to in like 2.5 hours, and it's gonna spill over when I would be able to live stream for you guys. So I'm here early. And I'm exhausted, but I am here. And I'm happy to be here. Yeah, it's fall here for sure. It's it was like, hey Angel, it was too warm, like most of September. Like it was just not fun. I like when it like hits and it gets like slightly cooler. You were having like cool-ish mornings and cool-ish evenings, but like the day was like pretty warm. Hey Sandy, good to see ya. Yeah, I had to come early. I made sure yesterday that I got my notes all done so I knew what I was going to say today. And yeah. Came early so I didn't have to skip the live stream altogether. But what's up, everybody? Welcome to the General Hospital After Show. I am your host, Dion Gabriel, coming at you nice and early. So thank you so much for those of you tuning in early so I can get to my work function this evening. It was both a heartbreaking and equally confusing week in Port Charles, both for obvious reasons, and we're going to get into both of them. Hey, Kaiwan. Oh, man. But yeah, so this week started the mystery surrounding Nathan's reappearance back into Port Charles. Anna, Dante, and Lucas were all in shock when they seen his face. And Dante and Anna both noted that he had his old gunshot wound from where Faison had shot him. But Anna, being the sort of thorough person that she is, made sure that she got a DNA test done instantly to see if this possible look-alike to Nathan was actually Nathan. And sure enough, the DNA test showed that he is in fact Nathan. But Nathan was still unconscious, so Anna decided to reach out to Nina to let her know what's going on and wants her to go and identify him. She wanted to keep Obrecht in the dark because, just in case he wasn't actually him, after especially what happened with Britt. And everyone is suspicious that Britt may know something more, since the two of them returned pretty much at the same time. One thing that surprised me was that Anna didn't think to warn Felicia. Like, this poor woman works in the hospital, and she goes into what she thinks is just a John Doe's room and sees Nathan. She like drops all her things and she goes into shock. And Anna happened to arrive there with Nina at the time, and Nina sees Felicia's reaction and she just knows like, oh my god, could it really be Nathan? She goes to his bedside, Nina, and he wakes up and instantly recognizes her. And, it's Anna, she comes in to talk to him as well. And basically, the story seems to be that Nathan has absolutely no memories between the time that he got shot by Faison till now. I'm sure he knew he was in the hospital, but he didn't, from that point till now, he apparently has no memories of what's been going on for the last 7 years. He even notes that he was like, why is this healed so quickly? That doesn't make any sense. And naturally, Nathan asks where Maxie is, because he was not only married to her at that time, but she was expecting their son. And he learns that, his son's a much older boy now, 7 years old, and that Maxie is currently in a coma. So, folks, obviously Maxie will be coming back at the end of the year. And my question for you is, who are you going to root for? Are you guys Team Spinelli and Maxie, or are you guys Team Spinelli and Nathan, or Team Nathan and Maxie? Because, assuming that Nathan is really just Nathan and there's no plot twist coming, at least in terms of his identity, Maxie's going to wake up with the current love of her life and her last one, who is only no longer in the picture because, to no fault as from his own, as far as we know, he was taken away from her. Why don't they dig up his grave and see who's really in his coffin? I mean, that could be the next step. Helena's icing machine. Angel said, I wonder if he doesn't remember where he has been because of the car accident. I mean, that's a possibility too. He did have head trauma. Sandy said, what are they going to do with Spinelli? Who knows? I mean, we barely see Spinelli, to be honest. Bringing Sonny Scott, or Scotty's son back? Wait, Scotty's son back for who? Sandy, your Team Spinelli and Maxie? Oh, man. Oh, the Ask Man Lander story. Yeah, that was an awful story. Oh, the Ron Carlivati days. I don't miss them. But yeah, it's interesting. Like, who knows where they're going to turn? I mean, unlike his sister, Britta, he's a bit more truthful and honest, at least the last man that we knew him to be. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to Britt and Nathan reuniting, actually, just because I think that Britt knows he's alive, and I also think that somehow he's the boss here. Like, I think that he's the boss. And maybe, I don't know, maybe there's some brain sci-fi cringy shit happening. Which is par for the course for anything pertaining to Caesar Faison, honestly. And, hell, it wouldn't surprise me if Nathan is just Nathan's body, and the brain inside of Nathan is probably just like Faison's brain that was once in a jar. They just implanted it in him. And then maybe mind-mapped Nathan somehow. I don't know. I have no idea. It's anything goes when it involves like the Faison family. Faison's probably alive too. Who knows? They just implanted the brain back into him. We don't know that the brain is still in the jar. Kevin hasn't been seen for over a year, so it's like, maybe someone just grabbed it. Sandy said, "Bring Sam back. Scout needs her mommy." Angel, you think that Faison's alive? Maybe. Anything can happen. I mean, but to that end, Sandy, this is why these storylines bother me so much, because it just makes every death seem undoable. And I hate it. And to be honest, it feels weird that we're getting this Nathan is alive, Britt is alive storyline right when they're killing off Monica because the actress died. And it's like, had the actress not died, we'd be questioning it too. Well, if, Britt and Nathan are alive, why can't Monica be alive? That kind of thing. If, obviously, Leslie Charleston hadn't passed. But, it just bothers me. Allison, you said, I think Britt knows he's alive. Yeah, the sci-fi stuff annoys me. Yeah. It's like, I can suspend certain beliefs, but, at some point, it just gets ridiculous, Angela said, Kevin out here being a bad guy on the gates. Well, we know he kills a role in a bad guy part, when he was Ryan Chamberlain. But yeah, I just, I tuned out a long time ago to Beyond the Gates. I just couldn't handle it. The storylines, while they seemed okay at the time, the acting was just too much for me. Couldn't do it. But yeah, I guess we'll see what happens when it comes to Nathan. It's an anything goes storyline. But speaking of Brit though, by the way, she and Rocco came face to face this week, and they kind of cautiously tiptoed around each other, I would say. Rocco said she seemed nice when he talked to Lulu afterwards, but that he was overwhelmed. And Lulu tried to be the bigger person and go to Brit to try to find some middle ground for Rocco's sake. And Brit basically took that opportunity to tell her to shove it and gloat about how their bond is greater than anything Lulu's could ever be with his. It's a little annoying to see her like this, honestly, because, again, it just feels like all the maturity and growth that we've seen, like the last couple of years of her previous run, all went out the window. And we're back to this one-dimensional villain from 2013 that we were introduced to. Like, it just seems like we've gone full reversal on that. And that makes me sad, because I really grew to love Brit towards the end. And she became like a decent human being. And I think there's still parts of her that is, but I think that, I don't know, she's just being rotten, yo. I mean, there's obviously Obrecht is feeling betrayed from Brit faking dying in her arms, and really sort of had that moment of I am my mother's daughter freak out, not this past week but the week before. But we don't know the full story there. Like, there's more than meets the eye when it comes to what Brit was up to, but we'll see. I don't know who wrote the script for Beyond the Gates. I feel like, wasn't it? No, I was going to say Guza, I think, is a producer, right? I don't know who the writer is. But I think it's another GH'er, former GH writer. Allison says, like aging kids, Danny should be 13 and Rocco should be like 12. Yeah. We kind of have to give up realistic ages when it comes to the soap kids, because, one day they're 3 and the next they're graduating high school. So, I don't know. You just have to, release that part of your brain, I guess. Kaiwan, you said you like to call Rocco Bennett. Wait, why Bennett? Or do you just mean Ben? I think Brit's close off. Wait. I think what it is a very close off Brit is like Carly when she's closed off to people. I mean, people that she loves. Yeah, I think, like I said, Kaiwan, I think that Brit, there's stuff that she cannot say that would probably hurt her mom. It probably has to do with Nathan, honestly. And she'd rather, for whatever reason, maybe, keep that a secret from Obrecht and make her mad at her and let her think the worst of her, rather than causing her pain with whatever freak of nature Nathan might be. You know what I mean? Allison, you said you were on Lulu's side this time. Brit is a mean, nasty bitch. I liked her too. Yeah, I hate when they just reverse all the character growth, and we've seen that with the previous writer team with Ava and all these other characters that they just did a full reversal on. It was a mess. Sandy said, I hate it too, Dion, and we've had funerals and mourns, then they came back. Yeah, Nathan had a whole serious funeral where we actually seen Georgie take him into the afterlife. So what is happening? What is happening? Angeli said, Ben is the better name. Every time I think of Rocco, I think of Rocco from Rocket Power. Oh, man. I mean, maybe it's the better name, but at the end of the day, that is Lulu and Dante's kid. So they have every right to name him whatever they want. Allison, you said, yeah, I just hate mind mapping and implanting microchips in people's brains. It's too much. Yeah. I just think, where else are they going to go? If, Ryan Pavey said that he's returning because this storyline is spicy. And that just makes, I feel like like, to me that sounds like maybe there's like an evil twist that we are not privy to. But I could be just reading into it. I don't know. Hard to say. But anyway, moving on, this week also marked the memorial episodes for Monica Quartermaine, and I think it pretty much went exactly how I figured it would. The cast gave incredible performances all week, and it was filled with heartbreaking moments as well as funny ones, as the Quartermaines do best. A bit of both. Poor Tracy had to deal with Lucy's chaotic self showing up on her doorstep the night that Monica had passed, but they had a pretty civil conversation, all things considered, despite Lucy's history with Alan. But man, the final scene, that episode, when Lucy leaves the house and Tracy just collapses on the grand staircase, bawling her eyes out. Oh, that broke me, you guys. That actually broke me. Jane is so phenomenal. She is so phenomenal. Oh God, please don't bring the vampires back. Sandy. Lord, no more vampires. That was too... I mean, at the time, I like, rolled with it, because it was just a cheeky nod to Port Charles, I felt. So, But yeah, I'm glad that a lot of the focus of Monica's funeral was on Tracy as well. And it really involved her navigating her grief and coming to terms with it. And I don't think she really quite has yet, but we'll see. Tracy had taken off the night before the funeral to New Jersey, and Lulu had figured out that's likely where she had went due to, I guess, her father's history with Tracy. Ned took it upon himself to send Lois ahead because she was closer by, to meet her there, so to keep her where she was so that Ned can get to her and bring her back. And Lois and Brooklyn, they got a relatively sweet moment together because Ned and Brooklyn went together to get Tracy. But they had a nice moment on the boardwalk. It was like civil anyway. They probably still have a long way to go to mend their relationship, but anything's possible. I think, for instance, Gio showed up to the funeral, by the way. And initially he went solely out of respect for Monica for letting him move into the house, even when nobody even knew that they were family yet. But after witnessing the funeral itself and seeing the family come together the way that he did, he's seeing the Quartermaines in a whole new light from the usual chaos that they bring. And I think one of the moments that helped him see this side was seeing Tracy deal with Congressman Kane when he crashed the memorial. She literally fact-checked him when he called himself Drew Quartermaine, and then wheeled him out the door since he showed up in a wheelchair because he's still in rough shape from his gunshot wound, and shut the door behind him. Thankfully that helped Drew see that he will never be seen as a Quartermaine, but it's definitely put him on an even bigger war path. Hey Nathan, good to see ya. But yeah, it definitely put Drew more on a warpath for the Quartermaines. He's gunning for Michael hard. He's out there telling Martin that he's going to, he's going to essentially frame Michael for his shooting, even though he doesn't know who actually did it. As for Tracy, she spent that whole funeral avoiding speaking, and it was getting Drew out of that room that sort of gave her the courage to speak, because she was standing up anyway. So she just, moseyed on up to the mantle and said what was a stunning, beautiful speech. I think the cool thing is, I would say probably the last almost 10 years with Monica and Tracy, they've definitely made it known that they love each other. It's something that we've seen on screen. It wasn't like, thing that formed after Leslie Charleston left the show. We've really seen it when Tracy was going through her health scare, where I think, she had she had worms in her brains or something like that? Something like that, back in like 2016 when Finn, I think, was first brought on the scene. And, they said that they loved each other then, and they really had each other's backs. And once Tracy was done her surgery, she got Monica her chief of staff job back from Obrecht. So they love each other, and it was great to see Tracy really acknowledge that and have regrets for the things that she didn't say to her as well. Really, all the speeches were great, honestly. Ned's probably had me the most choked up because he had to read a letter that Monica left for her friends and family. And the way Wally was choking up, I am pretty sure those were real tears, because I don't think I've ever seen Ned this emotional on GH ever. And we seen him during Lila's death. So it's like, I don't know, it just really touched me because he really seemed genuinely choked up, and I don't think it was acting. I really don't. Laura's speech was great too. She said the most. Elizabeth also got up there too, and yeah, they all just gave wonderful speeches. Jason, of course, spoke as well. He kind of ended the eulogy. Michael spoke as well, by the way. But yeah, I will say, Steve has shown more emotion as Jason in this 1 week than the rest of his 34 years on the show, honestly. And I think a big part of that has to do with his grief for Leslie Charleston, of course. She played his mom for more than half his life. And then when you mix that with how Jason and Monica's story has played out over the years, from pushing her away for more than a decade after he lost his memory, to to being somewhat lukewarm with her, and then only moving into her home again in the last year, with Monica already passing. And I think it's a heavy sorrow for Jason to carry. And Steve, having played Jason for 34 years and knowing his character inside and out, that sorrow's got to be spilling into him in some ways as well, on top of his own legitimate grief towards his TV mom. And, to end the week, Jason said one last goodbye to his mom on the stairwell, which led to an incredible montage of scenes of Monica from over the years. And they featured beloved characters like Alan and Emily, Amber Tamlin's Emily. There were flashbacks throughout the rest of the memorial episodes too, by the way, including some rare ones that I had never seen. At least I don't remember seeing, like the conversation between Monica and Ned, and a touching moment between Laura and Monica from when Monica was battling breast cancer. And of course, all the iconic moments Monica has been a part of over the years. I had totally forgotten, by the way, that it was Monica that did the surgery for Maxie's heart, but it makes sense because Monica's a heart surgeon. But I just haven't thought about it because everyone just kind of thinks of the moment between Felicia and Bobby, and sort of the rest of it sort of gets fallen by the wayside a little bit. And now let me catch up to what y'all are saying in the chat. I just had to get all that out of the way, note-wise, Yeah, we saw baby Jason. Okay. No, Allison, you had said Tracy kicking Drew out was so good. It was great. So was her speech. Sandy, you said I love the flashbacks. Me too. Allison, you said so over Drew's poor me. Yeah, it's just pitiful. It's pitiful. Kaiwani said, the actor that played Wally had to deal with like 6 people that he acted with passing in 2 years. Yeah, it's true. Honestly, all this cast of GH, and I know you're probably referring to his other soap too, but all the GH cast has lost so many people in the last few years. It is insane. Even just the ones I can think of, Tyler Christopher, Sonia Eddy, who played Epiphany. We had Billy Miller, Drew. We had Bobby and Monica and Leslie. And it's it just doesn't stop, it feels like. And Robert. It's crazy. It's crazy. Austin said Steve has been great too. Angela said I don't understand why they were trying to get Tracy to speak. Last thing I wanted to do was speak at my mother's funeral. I hate public speaking, and I really didn't want to speak them. I think in that sense, Angel, that it's like they knew, like they know Tracy well enough to know that she would regret it, so they were really just trying to encourage her to say what she needed to say in front of Monica's loved ones. Like I do get it from both, both points. Like I don't know how I would be at like a relative that was that close to me's funeral. Like I shudder to think, when my grandmother's time comes and like and my mom, everyone in my family. It's just brutal. We've seen it 1,000 times now. It was Monica. Well, they don't show that it was Monica doing it. They just show Felicia and Bobby scenes all the time. But I haven't really watched the full story in its entirety in a long time. Yeah, a lot have died in the last 10 years. Yeah, it's true. Even losing Edward, like John Ingle back in 2013, it's just like, it's just sad. It's really sad. But it's also just the way of life, the reality is, especially with our older cast, like, they're up there in age, and it's a matter of time before a lot of them pass. It's just like, I don't know. It's just like, give them a break, man, But yeah. Oh, by the way, shout out to the writers for finally remembering that Monica had another daughter, Dawn. Laura mentioned her in a speech. I feel like they never mentioned Dawn. They never mentioned Dawn when it comes to her kids. Like, her kids dying. They were like, she, even when AJ was dead, she'd be like, AJ, Alan, now Emily, like, all that stuff. But she'd never say Dawn. And I don't know much about the character, honestly. But, like, that is one of her kids. So I'm glad that they finally, like, threw her in there. If they're all getting older, they lived a full life. The actor's dying. Yeah, it's true. Oh yeah, also, I really appreciate that Laura mentioned her mom, Leslie, and how she wanted to be at the funeral but came down with a virus. Laura brushed it off like it would be fine, but I have a feeling that this might lead to eventually what may kill off the character of Leslie, since their real life death wasn't that far behind from Leslie Charleston's, Denise Alexander, and I don't think that there will be as much fanfare and as much of a funeral. I think because no one's really left in town that really was impacted by Leslie too much, So, except for Laura and Lulu, they might have like them kind of going through memory lane. Ideally, it would be nice to get Lucky back for an episode, but it's hard to say. How old was Dawn when she died? I don't know, actually. Probably in her 20s, I think. Was that the daughter that she had with Elizabeth's father? I'm assuming so. Yeah, Dawn's a character that I haven't really read too much up on. I did see a couple of clips of her the other day, but I've not paid attention to like her backstory, who the father was of Dawn. Just because again, even like I started watching in 2007. I think from 2007 or no earlier than that, 2005, and from 2005 to now, they literally, as far as I can remember, have never mentioned Dawn. Ever. I'm aware of her. I've been aware of her. But they never mention her. So it's like out of sight, out of mind, But yeah, going back to Monica's funeral though, or the Memorial Week, really, the Qs had a reception at their house, and eventually Tracy ends up MIA, and we see her walking towards the Quartermain crypt, and she notices the door is slightly ajar. She walks in and finds a mystery woman, played by Erica Slezak, who is a relative of Monica's, which she doesn't establish that yet, but we've been told that the name of the character is either, I forget if it's Victoria Bard or Veronica Bard. And Monica's, original surname is Bard. So she's definitely related to Monica. I'm guessing she's her sister. my prediction in terms of like what she's doing here is that perhaps Monica may have left the house to her, or if she didn't, this character is going to try and claim the house for herself, despite what Monica might say in her will. And the reason why I'm leaning towards the house is because they made a point to mention the house over and over throughout the memorial, throughout the week, throughout the funeral, and even towards the end, Lucy was like, "Are you like what's like when is the will happening? Like, are they selling the house because the market is hot?" Like, and Felicia got her out of there. But yeah, too much mentions of the house. And then there was this sort of ominous, sort of, not message, but like Martin, while talking to Drew, was saying, "I have a feeling that the Quartermaines are gonna lose a lot soon," and it had nothing to do with what Drew was saying. So he knows something about this woman. We'll see what happens. I mean, maybe Martin, gave Veronica a heads up that Monica's house could be up for grabs, and brought her into town just to get revenge on Tracy, because Martin still hates Tracy. But we'll see. Like, personally, like if we forget, if we're not thinking about that plot or potential plot, sorry, I think that she would leave the house to Tracy. I think she would feel that Tracy earned it. People might think like Michael would get it. I don't think so. I think that Tracy would get it. I think that Monica would give it to Tracy. But I wouldn't put it past Drew to somehow change the will so he could own it or something stupid like that. Hopefully not, though. This reign of terror with Drew honestly needs to end soon, because it's way past Peter August territory at this point, in terms of an overstayed welcome, and letting a villain get away with so much after, with everything that he's done so far. But yeah, it's frustrating. It's even more frustrating that Drew is even a villain in the first place, Like, the other day I stumbled upon Oscar's death, and I'm looking at Billy Miller's Drew and how much people loved him, and, just how good of a guy he was, and it's like, what happened? What happened? How did we get here? And I think Steve and Bradford, they interviewed Caitlin Willow on their podcast the other day, and they were kind of talking about like the switch with their characters. Caitlin's having a blast playing this version of Willow, is testing her acting chops, and I think she's doing a great job with it, despite how frustrating Willow is being. But she did touch on like Drew's struggle to what the character suddenly became, and how he's just having to now play him as a villain, and he doesn't seem to know the explanation for it either. So it's like, we're not all crazy here. It's like, where is this coming from? And like, you would think that they would give the actor a heads up as to why the sudden switch. Yeah, I'm tired of him too, Allison. Sandy said, I can't stand to even look at Drew. But yeah, I think, I don't know. I suppose if I have any notes about Monica's tribute, the one thing I kind of wish I seen, because it's been used the last few times in the Quartermaine death plots, was seeing the characters from behind and walking together into the afterlife. Like when Edward died, we saw him and Lila walk up the grand staircase into the afterlife together. We seen them again when with Alan, again the back of them, when AJ died, and Emily was there to take him up to heaven apparently. AJ, who would have thunk? And he was there when Oscar died as well. Or sorry, Lila and Edward were there when Oscar died as well. I don't think Alan was there. I don't think Alan was there. Austin, you said even the first couple of years Cameron was true. He was a good guy. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, he was really there for Carly when Bobby died. Um, and, you know, I think at the time it felt like when we had the writer switch, how Drew was acting would have to do with maybe the trauma of what happened to him in prison. But they just dropped it. So it's like, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. Angel said, I don't think the writers know either. Yeah, I'm convinced they're just winging it half the time. But yeah. Other thoughts? One thing I noticed on a message board, some people are mad that characters didn't return for her funeral. I'm not one of them, by the way. I think realistically, the most notable people who had the most meaningful interactions with Monica have either already passed away or their characters have. Or, you know, I don't know, like, it's just, it's a sad reality of what we're dealing with here. But yeah, I guess, like, unless you count, like, maybe Yuri and Terry. But, you know, we've been told that Yuri and Monica have this cool relationship, but it happened off screen, so, like, I'm not gonna worry about that. Like, they don't even want to put Terry on screen most of the time anyway, unfortunately. And while Yuri's so-called bond with Monica happened off screen, except for the one time that he wheeled her into the house on her last appearance. So, it's like, I don't know, forgive me if I'm not broken up about them not being on for Monica's funeral. Like, who to return? I mean, you might be able to argue Robin, but with Kimberly retired from acting and probably having a busy workload as a director, I can forgive that too. Maybe Scott, like, with them being former step-siblings, but oh, thank you, Edmund. They're very comfortable. They're track pants, actually. But yeah, like, with Scott and Monica, like, I know that they were step-siblings once, but I'd care more if they actually showed any signs of any kind of relationship in the last 40 years. And then, you know, who else beyond that? Rebecca Shaw? Are they going to bring back Emily's twin for Monica for what? No one even liked her. She didn't even come back for Edward's funeral. And they were probably the closest. Didn't Terry and Yuri break up? I don't even know. But you know, my point is, like, Terry is the chief of staff. Monica hired her. If anything, like, Terry would be there for that reason. But I guess I had Portia representing and maybe Terry stayed at work. But even so, it just sucks that they never show Terry. But yeah. And then, like, maybe Jake, but Jake's technically a child. I guess, I mean, he's probably 18 now, right? But they kept the kids away from the funeral because Scout couldn't go, and so it was just the easiest thing to do. Just wanted Danny there for Jason. I mean, I get that, but, you know, they did say, like, they just didn't want to kind of have the kids deal with feeling sad about Scout not being able to go to Monica's funeral. Because, you know, that's two things that they'd have to be upset over, so they just thought it would be easier to keep the kids away. And I'm glad that we got that explanation as opposed to just not getting one at all. Jake's in Europe. Yeah, but Jake could fly back, you know? Jason could pay to send him back for, you know, his grandmother's funeral. He's not broke. Edwin, you said Tracy wheeling Drew out in that wheelchair was so hilarious. Yeah, it was. I loved it. She just didn't even hesitate. She even didn't skip a beat. She fact-checked him, sent him right out the door, and shut it behind him. It's not welcome. In fact, it's detested, she said. his presence. But yeah, bottom line is I think they did a great job with the cast that they have and the options they had. I seen someone on the message boards also calling for Frank Valentini and the writers to be fired for this supposedly disrespectful tribute. And I'm sitting here like, dude, these writers and Frank Valentini, since long before Leslie Charleson even passed, have kept Monica a focal point on the show for as much and as long as humanly possible, in whatever way possible. You know, like, you know, when Leslie Charleson was still with us, they would bring her in, you know, for an episode here and there, whether they had her just sitting in a chair in her office or being rolled around in a wheelchair by Yuri. And when she wasn't well enough to come in, they had her make voice memos and had like a phone call with characters. Like, we'd hear her voice. And then since Leslie passed, there has not been a week that has gone by in the last 9 months where we haven't heard Monica's name mentioned by someone on the show. Every single week. Monica's, you know, in her room upstairs, but she's making all the decisions. She's helping get, the kids away from Willow and Drew. She's, you know, buying certain parts of the property to save it from Drew's reign of terror. Like, she's been in these stories heavily all 9 months, every week, mentioned every week. And someone has the nerve to be like, Frank Valentini didn't respect her. Are you joking? I've never seen so much fanfare for a character without her being there, without them being there on screen ever on GH. You know? Like I think Frank Valentini really did have a lot of respect for her. Kaiwan, you're not wrong. Like, it was a little bit, because it stretched out for so long. It was really like, it was like kind of like, okay, when are we gonna get to the funeral? Because 9 months is crazy. But for what, I don't know. They probably had the reasons for stretching it out as long as they did. I don't know, but like, you know, you have to give credit where credit is due. Like, you can't say that he disrespected Leslie Charleson when he's done everything in his power from the time that she fell ill till all the way now to keep her presence on the show and keep it heavily. They even had, you know, they built a whole wing in the hospital in her honor, and that was made before Leslie Charleson passed, but her health took a turn for the worse. She was supposed to appear in that episode where they revealed the wing, and she just unfortunately wasn't well enough. But that said, we've not seen it since, I don't think. We might have seen it once since the grand opening of it, but we don't see it. We don't see it. But yeah, far be it for me to praise Frank Valentini, but I think he's gone above and beyond for Leslie Charleson. So anyone that says that he didn't respect her is ridiculous. Truly. Alcine said, I know Drew is awful, isolating Scout from her family. Yeah, it's crazy, and he just won't listen. Like, Jordan paid him a visit and tried to speak to whatever conscience she feels he might have left, and it fell on deaf ears. Martin tried to, encourage him to sort of stop, just let this go, and he's just doubling down on his revenge. It's like, he's a lost cause. He's a lost cause, and we don't know why he's this evil. It's funny, Steven Bradford and Caitlin on that podcast that they did, like, they even talked about how there's a fan theory going around that he's Shiloh, and Steve hates the idea of, like, Shiloh in a Drew mask, But, I don't know. Who knows? I really hope he's not Shiloh in a Drew mask. But with Faison back, who the fuck knows? Pardon my French. Oh, man. Anyway, y'all. That's kind of my thoughts and feelings on this week's GH. Again, blown away by the performances. And, I thought it was a very very great tribute for a legendary character, a beloved actress, and a friend and family really to the cast and crew of the show. Yeah, it was a good week, and I think this tomorrow we'll be back to sort of our regular programming, I guess. I don't know. I mean, we got Veronica Bard. Monica and Veronica. Monica and Veronica. Sorry, I just realized how funny that is. Veronica Bard. We have, that to contend with. And obviously, Monica's got a will. And it'll be interesting to see who she leaves certain things to. Specifically the house, because obviously that's going to be the biggest storyline. And to me, I think that it's just going to be that Veronica is going to try to fight to get her sister's house. And she's played by Erica Slipik. I've heard good things. She got certain cast members that she's worked with in the past. Veronica looks like she's going to be a schema. You're probably right. Well, I mean, we know how Monica was back in the day, So, who knows? I bet Veronica's broke. And so she's going to try to get this house, and she's probably going to try to sell the house if she gets it, so that she has her own money. I don't know. She probably doesn't care to live in Port Charles for what? But yeah, it's she's worked with the actress that plays Brooklyn before, because they were on their last show together. John McKenna, who plays why am I blanking? Carly's love interest Jack Brennan, played her son when he was a kid. So I'm sure they're gonna have them cross paths, if only for the nostalgia for the people that watch the show. And I think she worked with Lisa Locicero too, Olivia. Jason's reaction to her death has been refreshing. Yeah, I agree. Like it's been I'm really proud of Steve and how far he's come as an actor, because I know, well, like realistically we know that Jason's supposed to be stone cold, but like I feel like this is probably true for everyone. The older we get, the harder things hit. Like, things can make you cry, whether it's like a happy tears or like, sad tears. Like things just get harder when you're older. The losses get harder. Seeing people in pain gets harder. And, in Jason's case, like, this is, the regrets that he probably has for pushing her away for as long as he did. You know what I mean? You're understanding. You think there's a connection with the Cassadines? I don't know. Edmund, you said, is Veronica one of Martin's ex-wives? It seemed like he may have called her. Could be wrong. I mean, anything's possible. It's clear that, well, I don't know. So, from what I remember, Martin's seen a letter that probably Veronica wrote to Monica. And so my guess is, like, if he didn't know her, then he probably researched her and reached out to her after. Allison, you said probably I just wish she was back as Vicky. I hate all the crossover characters of other shows, so I'm glad that they didn't bring her back as some character I don't know or care about, with no ties to anyone on GH. I don't need to see it. And I think that Erica seems excited to play a new role that's different, very different from Vicky. Sandy said if the house goes up for sale, you know Drew would buy it just to be evil. Oh, of course he would. He absolutely would. And sorry, Kyle, what are you talking about? You said, what is she's your mom again? Who? What? Whose mom? But anyway, y'all, it is nearing 4 o'clock. and I need to shower and take allergy pills. Sorry if you guys notice me like holding my eyes. My allergies are bothering me today. Yeah, take some allergy pills, take a shower, and get all somewhat as fancy as I get, which is not very fancy. But I'm going to a dinner theater for this event with my work crew. So, I don't know. Maybe they are over crossovers too. I hope so. I hope they're over crossovers. Edmund, you said, I hope Nathan is really back. Yeah, we talked about that at the beginning of the stream. I don't know. I think there's some sci-fi stuff going on there. I think that it's probably his body, but not his mind. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Oh, Brennan's mom. Oh, I mean, he could be Brennan's mom. No, he played Vicky's son when Jack McKenna was a kid, is what I was saying. I mean, maybe I guess it would be a fun nod if she ends up being Brennan's mom. But yeah, cool nod to the history on One Life, I guess. It's okay, Edmund. I just wanted you to know, we didn't forget about it. It was just the first thing we brought up because Monica's funeral was kind of the the bigger storyline this week, and there's a lot more to talk about. So we just kind of did Nathan's stuff first. But yeah, I think that there's sci-fi stuff going on. It's probably Nathan's body and not his mind. I think that he's Britt's boss somehow. That's my theory. I don't know what the sci-fi aspect is. Maybe it's Faison's brain that was in a jar in Nathan's head. I don't know. With whatever this cold fusion thing that Britt was working on in Croatia. Hard to say. It sucks when you had to think of the most far-fetched thing possible because that's the only thing it can be. Because we saw Nathan die. We saw Nathan get buried. We saw Nathan get taken by Georgie, Maxie's sister, into the afterlife. Maxie saw it too. So, there's questions, you guys. There's questions. But yeah, I'm going to let you guys go now. I don't really have a game plan for a midweek live stream. And I'm not saying there won't be one. Maybe we'll do a quick check-in with what we think of GH so far. Maybe a live stream to talk about first impressions of the new character, Veronica Bard. And maybe Wednesday or Thursday. We'll see. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Oh, by the way, for those of you, very, very little of you, but for those of you that did show up for the Runarounds live stream, thank you for watching. Specifically you, Kaiwan. You were the only one in the chat. I know other people watched it because they were commenting later, but appreciate you for coming to the live for that. But yeah, I'll catch you guys later this week, most likely. I think we're gonna do a initial thoughts of Veronica this Wednesday. So stay tuned for that. And if you like this live stream, give it a big old thumbs up, subscribe if you want to, and I will catch you guys later on. Mwah! Good night.